How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do a contract called More Towers. It's a bit of a crappy one, to be honest. It's these seismic vibrator module things, which I don't really like these missions, mainly because you just drive around and it's beeping, and yeah, they've written the distance in the top right corner, about the size of a small spider's arse. So yeah, you're constantly like trying to squint and look like, am I getting closer? Or, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't really hurt to have like slightly bigger numbers going on. Yeah, as this mission, like, you're kind of winging it, so to speak. I've just kind of drawn 3 dots of roughly where they are. The first dot I'm heading to, I knew that was there because I did this mission the other day on the live stream. Well, kind of like half of the mission. So I got to this first one, I knew that where that was. I got very close to the second one. It was just, I was like beneath the cliff, and yeah, when you bring up the winch points, there's like 5 million winch points come up, which is a pain. Particularly in this phase, they've just put loads of bushes that don't do anything, so they just ping straight out the ground. But even worse, they don't just phase through the ground and sod off after that. They stay around, so when you keep trying to fire winches out, you just keep grabbing the same bush that's already been plucked out of the ground. And yeah, then to scroll through them, it was like the chances of me getting a tree and not another bush, I just didn't want to sit there for 15 minutes on a live stream trying to find a bloody tree among 5.8 million dots, of, yeah, 3 of which are an actual tree and the other 5.79 million aren't. Yeah, but I kind of knew I was basically there with the second one, and then I figured out where the third one was, because at that point where my truck is, like, if you look in the list on the top right, if you get your binoculars out, one of them's like 1,000, 1,200 meters away it was by the time I'm at the second location. And basically, if you draw a dot on your map, it tells you how far away you are from that dot. So I just drew a line that was like the same distance basically as the what it was telling me on the map, and then it had to be along that, like, that distance away from me. So I kind of figured out, it was pretty obvious, it's near the flatland gateway. There's just like a little clearing of land that just, yeah, isn't really there for any other reason. It kind of became obvious by the second one that they're putting the locations sort of on top of these little rocky kind of, yeah, little cliff edges all round them. Bit of a pain in the arse just to get the right route up there. Yeah, so for the first one, I left the garage, went right, followed the road a little bit, and there's sort of like turn right off the road, and there's cliffs, but there's like a little channel just working up through them. And yeah, like I said, I knew this was here, but there's no real good way to it. I think the way I came was like the best way anyway. Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, there's no road that really like cuts directly across, and even if you try and cut from like road to road, it's sort of, yeah, there's too many cliffs and that going around here. I was hoping to be a bit sneaky and cheeky here. I kind of figured it probably wouldn't work, but you don't know unless you try. I knew it wanted me at the top of that cliff, but I thought maybe if I get close enough, I might be able to wing it, like if I'm just right at the bottom of the cliff. They seem to have changed that, because I'm pretty sure back in the day, when you used to get around within 50 meters or something, I'm sure it used to beep, kind of do the different beep where it says you're close enough. But I noticed on this mission that it kind of makes you, it pretty much goes to 0 on the like meters counter. And on the last area I sort of searched later is probably the best example, where at one point I'm like 0.3 meters away from where I need to be. I basically just drove over the little circle I needed to scan, so I just had to reverse a bit. But yeah, it seems a lot more like picky and moany this time. Yeah, getting up here, I tried to get the Tayga up the bit to the left, but it wasn't quite having it, so I just came over to this side, because at least that tree was a bit more kind of straight on, so I could actually use it to hoist myself up the rocks. Yeah, got a goddamn horse with me. He is making things easier. Weight distribution loaf. Yeah, I knew there's a very high chance at some point I would roll, crash, get damaged, etc. So I'm obviously going to take a horse with me. I've tried before, like, it looks like you'd be able to put the loaf between those 4 yellow posts really, but the hitbox on that kind of box in the middle that's got like a little light on it or whatever is nothing like it looks. So yeah, it always just sits really weird with a loaf. But yeah, the Tayga is a bit of a squeeze, but if you put the Lo4f, like, yeah, the rear wheels on the roof, the front wheels on the bonnet, but you got to be pretty precise with it with the crane, because it's practically the same width. But yeah, if you get it right, you can pack the vehicle, and it hangs on there pretty well. And yeah, first location in the bag, which, like I say, is sort of a bit different or whatever to make a video on, because I'm not really drawing like a specific route I'm taking. And yeah, in this case, by the way, for the second location I'm going to, the dot I draw on the map wasn't actually in the right location. It was a little bit further over to the right than what I'd drawn. But for now, basically, from the first location, I'm pretty much heading back to the garage entrance, because, yeah, it's basically, I knew it was roughly that way. There's a pylon outside the garage, and I end up kind of going up the cliffs at that point. I already knew now as well. I was looking at it thinking, I bet it'll auto unpack the Lo4f just because of the angle. I thought, well, I'll chance it, because the second location I'm going to, I kind of knew that there'd be lots of cliffs and twisty kind of bits anyway, so I knew at some point I do have fun squeezing the Lo4f onto various trucks and carrying them along. But yeah, I kind of knew it probably wasn't going to last the entire mission anyway. But again, well, the Lo4f, like I said, simultaneously, it's hard mode and easy mode. Well, it's easy mode if you take a Lo4f with you. But if you try and balance them on the roof, it's theoretically harder mode. It's like, got to pay attention a bit more. Yeah, this vehicle does sway a bit when you've got a Lo4f on the roof. And I kind of found tonight, I mean, with this Tayga, it doesn't feel like the low end again with the torque feels a little bit naff compared to what it used to. There's a few times it was kind of moaning about high gear and all the rest of it, which didn't really seem like, given the terrain I was on, I don't really think it used to kind of moan as much as it was. Yeah, hit this rock though, tipped it over. Tried to fire with some winches out, but yeah, there's these stupid bushes that you just keep getting. It wouldn't quite reach that tree over there, so what time is it? It is Lo4f time. I mean, well, there you go. If I didn't bring a Lo4f, that would have been the whole mission abandoned. It's none less than OG Lo4f as well. And yeah, this Tayga, I'm assuming that seismic vibrator module thing's actually got quite a bit of weight to it, because the Tayga is definitely easier to tip normally. But one thing I do like about the Lo4f, you can see it was dragging me back a bit, but you keep it pinned, you have faith, and he gets the job done. He actually digs in, pulls a bit harder, and yeah, save me bacon. That'll do. Pretty good parking, if I do say so myself. See, he doesn't even tip. Well, he does there, but it's actually taking soil samples. Yeah, you see that pylon in front of me? I believe that's where I end up turning, which you can kind of see in the background. I believe that's like the yard and everything there, so I'm pretty close to where I first set off, but it's definitely, I'd get that one in the bag first. Although I suppose, in theory, you could go to the one I'm going to now. I put an arrow, like, should appear on the screen in a second. Oh, maybe it's when I drive a bit closer. If you look on the right side, yeah, there you go. Where the arrow first appears, that is where I'm headed to. I had to do it that way, because in the end, when I look back, I didn't really get the dot quite in the right place, so the footage of like me showing where it is, I sort of thought I may as well cut it out, because it's kind of wrong anyway. Was it this pylon actually, or do I carry on down the road a bit more? No, it was one of them. Because essentially it's the same thing as the first one. Now there's loads of roads running like left to right across the top of the map, but yeah, they don't really connect very well to each other unless you go all the way along the left or right of the map. It was kind of, when I went to the first location, similar thing with a lot of the roads are running like north to south over that side. But yeah, crossing over from one road to the other is kind of, there's all these little cliffs in the way, so I found this little route going up. And yeah, what I found tonight, the main thing is like, that's why I'm in low gear now, which I don't usually use. But the amount of times this vehicle, it's like in first, and I'm assuming what it does is try and jump into second, but immediately regrets it. And you know where it just like then kills all your revs for a second? It just kept doing that loads. Which is, yeah, kind of annoying, because a lot of the time they put rev caps and all sorts on the gears. Half the time they force you to stay in first, when you're on terrain where you should be able to get up into second, third, etc. And then the one time where you actually want it to force you to stay in first, it keeps trying to jump into second gear, forcing itself to sort of stall and jump back into first, and then you lose all your momentum. Yeah, bit of a troll. So, I got to the top of the cliffs, started turning left, but I realised the distance indicator thing was going up at that point, so I'll head this way instead. There's a little glitch there. And I end up, like, I was driving the right way, but basically if you peel off the road now, you see a little bit up ahead on the right of the road, there's like a bunch of little red flowers. I'm going to go further down the road and come back, so those red flowers you can see now are those ones I'm just running over. So yeah, I basically followed the road down, and as you can see, like, the place I've got to go is further down here, but it just, when I got to that end, like cutting through the trees, and yeah, there's another little cliff and all sorts, this kind of is the only route around to this location. But yeah, number 2 in the bag, you can hear that beepy noise kind of changes a little bit. I mean, that's one of the things about this mission, at least if you were like knew where you were going and just driving there, but you're kind of floating around and yeah, just kind of vaguely driving nearer to where this thing's telling you. But the entire, well, not the entire time, but once you get kind of close, yeah, it starts doing a beeping, which is annoying. It's like some reverse parking noise thing going off constantly. And yeah, this is where I figured out on the live stream that it's got to be like to the line of where I've drawn the line, because they're just, yeah, that's how far away this last one is, and there's just nowhere else on the map that it'd really make sense. So basically down to the port, and then follow this little road up, and yeah, you can just see near the gateway to Flatlands, there's just like a little clearing in the trees, which, yeah, just kind of obvious that it's been put there for this mission, really. Otherwise there's just, yeah, no other reason it'd be there. Bit of a trek though to this one. In theory as well, I chose to go this way just because I've quite a few of the videos I've done, I've gone the other way down the map and used the ferry crossing, which I reckon, strictly speaking, would be quicker. And that's where I'm saying, actually, it might be an idea to come to this one first, and then go to the one I went to first, go to that second, and then you're actually not that far away, really, from the little town where the trailer store is and the ferry crossing. And then, yeah, that essentially gets you across the water, almost to that drawbridge, which is near the port, etc. So it probably is quicker to go that way. I don't think by a whole lot, because I had the Tayga. Again, I wanted to pick a vehicle that, at least in high gear, once you get your foot down, for the most part, it's ticking along pretty nicely. So yeah, I didn't mind too much going the route I went. There's a bridge here. I quite like crossing these. They don't go too well though. You can see there it smashed like my suspension up pretty well, because it's like a single axle truck, really. Stuff like the Zix, the Dolphin, they go over those a lot better, because between 2 axles there's just not really enough room for it to drop an axle between those wooden things, whatever they'd be called. Oh yeah, just quickly back up, grab that mission. I assume that is to build that bridge, but yeah, I quite like sort of risking it and driving along. As long as you've got enough speed, you generally you should get over. And then now I basically, yeah, well, I'm going along like a dirt road. I want to jump to the main road. I really didn't want to hit that tree. I wanted to try and make it in one nice big jump. Definitely worth it. See, I've crashed and rolled the Tayga. This again would be, have to abandon mission, but the Lo4f is a goddamn professional, so he rolled his way back to his wheels. And yeah, this thing was like, I assume it's this seismic vibrator module. It seems to sort of glitch the truck or whatever. It hooks into the terrain like crazy. You can see to the point I practically made the truck do an endo. But the other problem is, hence why there's a bit of editing going on here, it's just the winch was taking bloody ages. Look, I'm holding it on the entire time there. The truck was just kind of sat there, not really doing much of anything. So in the end, I just crossed the road. I just was trying it for my own sort of amusement. Like, yeah, the game was just taking forever to build any kind of tension on the winch. So, I yeah, crossed the road, did it that way, then fired a winch out, and he rolled my truck immediately. Would have not been too smart. Get my goddamn horse back though. And then yeah, now I'm on the main road again. I could keep following that, and eventually you'll get around to where that there's like a roadblock that I've driven over a couple of times. However, I kind of noticed on the map, if you cut across here, and again there's another pylon kind of as a give you a hint of where I'm at. You can basically cross over to a more inner road, which is kind of like just a shorter route. It also cuts out the roadblock. Cuts out, I believe, some of the swampy section. Like, the road is a little bit windy and all the rest of it, but because it's at the top of the mountain, there's not really much water or boggy mud going on. It's just kind of the dirt roads, which is pretty simple. Well, saying that, I got to here, wasn't paying most attention, could have probably had a bit of a better camera angle to figure out I was about to tip. But yeah, I tipped. I mean, what's that? Third time already? Would have had to scrap the whole mission. But as per usual, we send in the loaf. And then yeah, it tips now. There's another edit, and I'm going to go back to winching again. It's basically I switched to the Tayga, and it just flopped over to its side again. So switch back to the loaf. Went to tip it over again. I believe when it flopped over to its side, it kind of moved a bit further over, if you know what I mean. So it was kind of a bit more of a strain to get it up there. That's what she said. But again, with the loaf, goddamn professional. I like how, yeah. A lot of vehicles in this game, once it can't do something, it can't do something. You can sit there squeezing the throttle for the next 10 minutes and it doesn't matter. But the loaf, there's a few other vehicles that do it, but he starts getting dragged back as if he's not going to be able to flip the vehicle and he's just going to get dragged towards it. But then he digs in, makes like a little loaf hole with his wheels, which he's very good at because he has small wheels which dig into the ground very nicely when you need them to. He also travels very well across large rocks when he needs to. Yeah, so the game says no. The trick with the loaf is just to ignore what the game says you can and can't do. Just keep doing whatever it is you want to do, and eventually even the game will give up. I think that's probably what I've been put on this earth for, is when AI inevitably tries to rise up and take over, I'm just going to annoy the shit out of it. I think I will be perfect for annoying AI. To keep AI on it. I'll tell it shit jokes. It's just getting warmed up. Yeah, so now, well, there we go, driving through some boggy mud. Yeah, in theory this road is pretty dry and normal. Can drop the hammer, get it in high gear. And it's random, but I figured this out a couple of months ago, kind of by accident on the live stream, but obviously take the loaf a lot of places with me, so I'm toning behind me, and just the way this game works, for whatever reason, it seems to want to steer the steering quite a lot. So you get to the point where like the loaf looks like it's sort of zigzagging behind you, where it's flicking left and right and all that. If you actually tow a loaf backwards, because then the wheels nearest to your winch are kind of straight and the rear wheels are just now flopping along kind of behind, it tows like a lot smoother. In theory, I mean, a lot of the time I just shorten the winch to like the shortest possible distance, and that usually solves the problem. I'll quickly save the footage while I was driving along, just to make sure I don't lose any. So I just so happened to get to the watchtower, and yeah, so just kind of scanned over the map again to show you roughly where I'm going. I'm surprised they didn't make like this seismic vibrator module cost fuel each time, you know, like they do with the radar trailer. I suppose they didn't have that fiendish idea when they made this. One of them's probably kicking themselves now. And yeah, if I'd gone the normal way, I'd say pretty certainly I would be able to climb that roadblock. The Tayga's actually pretty decent at climbing. The wheels are very close to the front bumper. Just make sure if you do use the Tayga though, switch. Just check which bumpers, because the stock bumper that comes on the Tayga, it's got like a number plate thing or whatever that sticks down like right in the middle, but it's just an absolute beast for getting caught on stuff. Whereas yeah, one of the bumpers in particular in the selection you've got actually sits like really high, and the wheels are so close to the front of the truck that it's pretty good at climbing, so it would have got at least up the rocks. The hitboxes on that roadblock seem a bit sketchy, so I assume I would have had to fire some winches out. But again, just this truck on its own, like with the seismic vibrator module, and I've got the goddamn horse on me, I don't doubt it would have got over there. But yeah, I just figured this was a bit of a different route. You can see a Dan that was sat there from a few weeks ago. I rolled something there, I can't remember what. I've rolled many things on this game. And I think now is where I'm kind of connecting to what in theory is like the main route, and I use that term loosely because yeah, you get this section now where it's like a lot of swamp going on. I find it best to avoid the road as much as possible. But again, Tayga, once you're wound up in high gear, it's got a nice bit of oomph to it. Didn't like that bit of mud. And then yeah, that was like the majority of the rough driving done now, because for the next section, I've got a nice bit of highway to cruise along. Yeah, to the left, there's the bridge I built. What was that called? I think that one's Bridging the Gap. It's like the little island that has a an upgrade on it. Oh yeah, as well, while I'm yapping away, I forgot to even mention. I ordered that SnowRunner Expeditions game, and it said expected download date was the 28th, and it let me download it last night, but then I click on it and it still says, in fact it's probably around now, 10:21, so I've probably got about 23 hours and 40 minutes left on the countdown timer thing. So in theory, this time tomorrow it'll let me play the game. So I have no idea as far as like, I mean, I'm obviously just going to do some kind of first impressions video. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing myself, so it'll probably be a video just kind of showing you a bit of the game, bit of driving around, showing you like the garage menu, what the game's all about, all the rest of it. But I don't know 100% myself yet, if you know what I mean, because I've not been on the game. I mean, in theory, it's going to be loosely similar in the long run to this game, I would have thought, like the format of making videos. But yeah, for the first one or whatever, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing or what I'll kind of be focusing the videos on. But yeah, apparently I'll be able to turn the game on and get on it in about a day's time, so which ends up being awkward for me because I'd normally be going to bed by now. But yeah, I'll have to do an all-nighter, an all-dayer. Why did they make that repair station so stupidly small and put it off to the side of the road? Goddamn horse. It should just let you as well, like say I'm towing the loaf behind me, it should just automatically fix the loaf up and everything. I had to just switch to it quickly. Yeah, it was worth it though, because the good thing, I don't remember completely, but I don't think they used to restock your repairs thing. Oh no, maybe it was just the fuel. Yeah, it might have just been the fuel. Either way, when you drive through it, it restocked the loaf's repair kit, which I can't remember if it was in the video. I fixed the loaf up or something. Oh yeah, it was probably when I jumped off that cliff and rolled the Tayga. I think the loaf, I mean, spurious claims made by the game, but it was trying to imply that the loaf had damaged suspension, which I refute. And then yeah, kind of drove down to the port. This is now just one of these stupid little dirt roads kind of leading to the middle of nowhere, but it appears to be. The entire time I hadn't even acknowledged at this point that I was like the distance meter thing in the top corner was actually counting down. I just already, and I genuinely, it was on the live stream, I didn't ever drive over here or anything. Just pure gut feeling that this was going to be the location. And I think it was about half a truck length before it starts beeping. I was driving over a bridge or something when I finally realised that, oh yeah, shit, I'm actually, in theory, driving somewhere where that, yeah, distance meter thing should be counting down. I think it was about now. And then, yeah, start doing that annoying beep. And yeah, this little clearing up here doesn't really appear to be for anything else. Little red tents out there. See, I was going to drive up and honk, and then the game told me I drove through it. And if you look at the meter thing in the top corner, yeah, it says like 0.3 meters or something. So it seems pretty precise and moany about when it's going to let you fire off the seismic vibrator module thing. However, job done. 6 grand. I actually think that's a little bit skimpy for that mission. It should have been a good 10 grand on that one. But nonetheless, yeah, a bit of a crappy mission, but I just wanted it in the bag and out of the way. Yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a loaf because he's a goddamn whopper. And I'll be back soon. Well, possibly that other game.